Good morning, good afternoon, LinkedIn. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another edition of Let's Build a Super Admin with Lucy Abal. How you doing, Lucy?
Hey, hello everyone. Hi, Chris. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. It's been a little bit, so uh, I'm glad to be chatting with you today. And you know, I'll figure out a way during the conversation to tie this into super admins. I promise, but it's a very impactful news that we received yesterday, and you as a partner, but also somebody who's been on the forefront of like in the academy, in the boot camps, like seeing how all the different ways people can learn about HubSpot while also being there as a partner, seeing the challenges every day of when they don't learn about HubSpot. Super interested for your take. And I'll just share my screen today. We're talking about this concept of everboarding. Um, and I just talked about it with Willem. We do a weekly show about, HubSpot onboarding. He's a customer success manager. So obviously he had a very specific, take in terms of how it helps him and the users that he interacts with and, how maybe some inside feelings about how this is going to work. Uh, but what is happening is, I'll blow this up a little bit. Exciting news from HubSpot Academy. We're thrilled to announce the launch of our newest offering, guided onboarding, designed to revolutionize your onboarding experience. In today's fast paced world, the traditional 90-day onboarding process is being transformed. Enter the concept of everboarding, a continuous and evolving onboarding journey that empowers your team throughout every stage of the customer lifecycle. Now, let's say we just left it at that. Eh, Like, could anybody argue with the fact that this should be a very good thing for the ecosystem? Like, what do you like when you see this described this way? What are your thoughts?
Well, the first thing that comes in mind is to separate onboarding from the concept of continuous evolving and continually learning and always doing new stuff on your portal. So I think those are two different things. What we usually teach at the Super Admins Bootcamp is that we need to always be learning. We need to always be improving things in the CRM. The CRM changes, the teams change. So that is a true concept. And the Academy has always been a great place to give resources to people to train themselves, to learn new things. So, from that perspective, it's awesome. Um, so I was laughing inside because I was thinking about revolutionizing, and I think the only ones that are revolutionized now are the partners. That everyone is freaking out. I see all Slack groups, WhatsApp groups, everyone is freaking out. But I think that, and what we always talk with you, Chris, is that there has always been a gap of knowledge in the HubSpot ecosystem. That I think this is the perfect solution for that, because I don't know if people that is hearing us know that whenever you're using HubSpot for free or in Starter, you are not obliged to do an onboarding with HubSpot or with any partner. So you could start by yourself and start doing whatever you can or what you learn everywhere. When you're purchasing pro and enterprise licenses, HubSpot actually really recommends doing an onboarding or an implementation, right? So, of course, we are talking about very different prices in licensing. And the guided onboarding so far, the one that HubSpot gave, already was a significant amount of investment for some companies. So there was a lot of people, a lot of users and businesses, especially the small ones, that couldn't afford that. So we ended up with a lot of HubSpot users, with a lot of portals that have never been onboarded properly or have never talked with someone from HubSpot or any partner strategically, or they have done the best that they could, but they could still be using the portal wrong, right? So
Yeah.
if this product is trying to close that gap and try to help all those users that couldn't afford an onboarding or a more expensive implementation with a partner, I think this is the perfect solution, right?
Yeah. And I think that that's where, we talk about a lot how like one of the things that a super admin can control is in some level, like until except when HubSpot surprises you, is just this idea of awareness. Like, how do you stay aware of what's available, what is in your portal? But that puts so much burden on this admin. Like, and if you have a team of 10 users, like you've got to transfer that awareness to them at some point, and then maybe they're not in the training that day, maybe they just got hired after the 90 days, so you could have done everything great and had everybody in on the onboarding, but now we've hired two new people, and we've known for a long time, most of the horror stories that are out there with all these different softwares are the fact that it's like, okay, we have this amount of time, we can only do this amount of things in that time, so good luck after that, or you got to pay 5, 10,000 a month, and then I'll help you, right? We know that that stuff doesn't work. So when we think about the awareness problem, and I appreciate things like this because HubSpot has to step up in some way. And in one of the comments I made, like, we have to count on them for product awareness. Like, that is their responsibility. Partners are applied awareness, application awareness. Like, how do you use it for your business, for your industry, right? And that, like, if I'm spending time teaching people how to get to the product updates page and how to click on, the support chat, which I'm happy to do. But if I'm spending time on that, we're not spending time on the other stuff that could be super valuable for your business, right? And I think that kind of, when we talk about ongoing training and ongoing boot camps and ongoing community access, like that's the kind of stuff that will, it's one of the only ways you can solve for that. Like, we, even as partners, we can't be aware all the time when you hire somebody new or there's a job change, right? So having this kind of always on access is super important.
Yeah, so one thing to consider here that this guided onboarding, this new guided onboarding in the academy is not going to make you a super admin in 1 month. That's not going to happen. So I think there's still a lot of effort from the user or for the people attending this onboarding. So it's still hands off, it's still do it yourself, it's still time that you need as a user to dedicate to improve, to test, to do in HubSpot. So it's still going to be super light touch. So we were laughing about internally today because we were saying, oh, yes, Everboarding is going to take you forever to onboard your HubSpot board. So we were laughing about that. But jokes aside, it's going to take time because if you need to wait until the cohort to do a question, if you need to wait until you do the learning path or you do some certifications or you see a series of videos and then you try and then you implement, I really like that they are trying to say that this is going to be faster than 90 days, but I'm not really seeing that. I don't think that users by themselves, even with guided videos, even with cohort sessions, I don't think that they're going to see value faster than 90 days. And this is the difference between working with partners. When you work with a partner or even when you work with a freelance, we are training you, we are implementing your business in the CRM. So it's super customized, it's super to the point what you need to know. So it's different. So both paths are totally doable and totally respectable. It depends on at what stage you are with your company. So I really like what you said, Chris, that when you are dealing with a lot of new employees that you want to train and you want them to go faster on in the understanding of what HubSpot could do, this could be a good tool. Yes, this could be. I could think also about freelancers or entrepreneurs thinking about using free or starter and starting with their business and starting to sort out a lot of things and trying to implement a CRM for the first time. This could be a good solution. Perfectly, totally. So, but I don't see yet this for companies that are already using the CRM or that they need to migrate from other platforms and they have super specific processes that they need to customize in the CRM, unless you have a big tech internal team that they are already tech savvy and they already know what to do, so they just need to do some questions and some guidance. But I don't know if this onboarding is going to be pretty basic. I don't know if that's going to be enough for them. So it depends. It could be good. Of course, for everything, there's a specific audience. This is going to be good for everyone or for anyone that could need it. But partners, fear not. So this is completely different stuff. And if you fear, I think it's because you don't have a strong value proposition for your customers. So, but that is for another conversation, Chris.
Right. Well, that's where uh, it probably is, but it's a huge part of this in that, like, the reason HubSpot has to step up and just provide it, right, is because what has been happening, and like when we hear these horror stories all the time with onboarding and what the mess was, and people bought it for, like, a lot of these people go away. They don't come back to you for help. Like, they just go to other systems because their experience has been bad. And that's why looking at this last column of, partner-led onboarding, uh, and then we look at, see, so first of all, like, do it for me. Onboarding requires your team to be using HubSpot, not me using HubSpot for you. In most cases, I know there's some services out there that suggest they might be able to do this for you, but this is our right out of the gate. We're setting bad expectations, in my opinion, right? And it's clear, and I think this description is supporting that because we don't say onboarding down here. We say implementation, which is what this is. I can do that for you all day. I can build stuff for you. I can help maintain the portal for you. But if you have users on your team that have to be using HubSpot, I cannot use it on their behalf for you. Like, that's where the part onboarding has a specific purpose, right? And that's where the amount of money that is worth the investment to do the kind of integration work and migration work and doing everything the right way, right? We get so focused on that, and then we don't actually, some do, but a lot don't. They don't handle the onboarding part well. It's like, I got to do that just because I got to connect the dots, but the training is not there. I'm focused on the build and making sure it works functionally, but are we doing the work to actually onboard the teams? That's where, for me, instead of wishing all the partners would just get better at that, I'm happy now that there's this other option to say, no, keep doing the implementation work, keep doing the bigger and better projects, and let this happen. Just make sure they know that this exists, right? And that they can go get this support, and their dollar, they shouldn't be spending their money on you for the kind of value that they're going to get over here. That's where they're two different things, right?
So what I think that you're saying is that this is going to teach users like the basic HubSpot language, let's say, so that they are prepared either to go for a HubSpot assisted onboarding or to go for a partner onboarding or implementation. So
Yes.
I think this is good to differentiate, because we have seen in all of these years, we have seen a lot of customers that they have done either the HubSpot onboarding, guided onboarding, the traditional so far, or even that they have done a basic onboarding with partners. And what we usually see is that nothing that was set up in the tool actually reflects their business processes. So I think that is the main difference between an implementation that is something completely customized to your processes, to your business. Because right now I also see partners using tools to copycat things from one portal into the other one and doing it fast for half the price. And but does that really apply to your business? Just because this is something that someone else in your same industry is doing, that this means that you use the process the same way, the same pipeline, the same workflows? No. So whenever we think about onboarding, it's kind of like copy paste in some cases, and that's not a good proposal to do. So ourselves at Tandemol, we usually talk about implementation, because this process should be customized to your business and to your processes. And part of the implementation, there should be a phase. The last phase is usually training and onboarding the team in HubSpot. So it's like you said, we are going to train your team for the things that we customize and implement for you in HubSpot. So the thing with the guided onboarding with HubSpot, or this new guided onboarding in the academy, is that you're going to learn how things are standard in HubSpot. So not so much. So it's up to you to think how you will adapt this to your business. So there is a big difference in there, and I don't know if everyone actually values that difference. And I can give you a short example that this was actually a conversation with a prospect last week. And I think I already mentioned this to you, but she was actually telling me, no, I want to train my team. We have had HubSpot for a couple of years, but we don't use it because we don't know what what we're up to. We don't know what Marketing Hub can do. So, Luisa, if you're hurting me, kisses. So I said, have you tried with HubSpot Academy? And she said, yeah, I've been in there, but so much material. I don't have time to do that, she said. And that's the thing. People don't have time. When you're already running your business, you don't have time to learn and then to think, how would I would do this for my business?
Right.
So that was we were joking about the everboarding, because this is going to take forever. So,
Yeah.
so that process cannot be speed up. You need to go through that process. Of course, when you work with partners, this is faster because we are doing that work for you and we are teaching you what you need to know. She was actually telling me, I want to be in a session with you and to tell you, okay, I want to do this, teach me how to do it. Okay, yeah, that has value and that is totally understandable. And I really understand why she's thinking about that, because even though you want to learn how to use HubSpot, you still need to do your day-to-day business. You still have a job, you still have tasks, you still have responsibilities, and you don't have the time to be doing this. So let's just be honest that companies are not paying you to learn, are paying you to generate business. So we need to try to do this as fast as possible. But
Yeah.
again, these are different options. These are completely different situations and scenarios. So they are not, each other doesn't invalidate among them. So
Right.
again, we don't need to fear anything. It's just having more options, filling the gaps. Um, I think this is going to elevate the conversation with people that normally didn't know what we were talking about when we talk about objects or when we talk about properties or associations. At least now they will know. At least now they will know the tools they have available in the hubs that they have purchased. So I think
Yeah.
this is
And
good
that's
for
and that's
everyone.
like half the battle right now, right? Is the knowledge that you can do the thing or the thing exists in HubSpot. And that's where like, you know, I think as partners, most of us appreciate and we like being valued when it was just a 5 minute conversation to solve a problem because here's the product update that you need, like done, right? But when that happens after they've spent like 5 hours trying to figure out the problem, and if they had just known that this thing existed, right? This space, and when I say like this creates the space for that to be like for them to become aware because they're showing up in this new spaces, listening to how other people are using. That's happened to me before. Like I see the update. I don't think it's going to apply to me, so I'm not even going to look at it. But then somebody else tells me how they use it, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I want that now. Let me go do it. Right? It's the kind of learning that's definitely not going to happen usually over like if you are working with a partner. So that's where and this is just because partners have seen it all. Like we see what happens when you don't do the onboarding right, when you don't set the system up right. So I have no problem saying in 95% of cases, like working with a partner is going to be better than not working with a partner, right?
Totally.
But thinking of it in the way that if you do that, then you shouldn't or don't need to do this is just not the best way to think about it because you're going to lose out on this value and of everboarding. Like, and this is where the partner can't be like, if you want the partner to always be there, there's a lot more cost, to that than, $400. And that's where what we see in the boot camps and all these other resources that have been available, you can see when the people that are really engaged, the super users, there's value in that for them when they show up and do that. I think this will be an option for some to say like, hey, add like usually even when it's offered in the partner case, it's like, okay, we're going to work with the champion to get this thing done. They get all the training and then it's their responsibility to, right now, that could still be the case. And you could share this with the rest of the team because it's for the whole portal, right? It's not per user. And just having this level of access to be available to just say, hey, team, like if you want this thing, right? Because you never know when people are all of a sudden going to be engaged and want to learn HubSpot sometimes. But having this available when it's there and it's not like, okay, I'm the admin, I guess I can find an hour, this afternoon to sit down and teach you, right? We're not trying to replace all those instances, but just having this extra help from HubSpot because there's also the community angle, right? Like connect.com, it's good to see them putting effort into that now. And with things like this is another funnel that's automatically going to build that community, right? We've kind of all been waiting, like, okay, I'll make a profile, but like we'll see, like if people actually start engaging there, this is automatically going to grow that, right? So this community-based stuff of helping everybody stay aware, right, uh, is going to be huge. And then I do want to say, like, to your point about partner strategy, about how people scale and how they get access to customers, like this amount of money, right, that customers really have to consider. And you have to decide up front, okay, do I want to buy this thing? And this is a part of the budget that I need, right? How many people don't buy HubSpot or don't get what they need, or you have sales members of HubSpot looking for the $0 onboardings to make the deal go through, suggesting that you're going to get all this. We know it doesn't usually work that way. There's a few out there that do it because, and they're really good at it. And they know like they're going to do such a good job that they're going to get more business. So they do it strategically and they do it very well. So it's not everybody, but in a lot of cases, and this was for me a problem, like as we were thinking about, okay, do we want a tier? Like when it was end of Q1, and we're like, okay, this is going to be our onboarding package. It's going to be this much, and then the salesperson says like, okay, this person can do $1,000 onboarding for enterprise, 60 hours a like. I'm not competing. I don't even want to compete with that, right?
Yeah.
but we know that that is winning deals because the budget gets low enough, but then the customers come back hopefully with a mess, right? And all these. So this entry point here, like I think, and I agree with you, it'll be good to see, and hopefully HubSpot shares next year, like a year out, like because of this better onboarding experience, a lower budget access point to HubSpot, will there be a better rate of moving from this point like up, right? It'll be interesting to see that, um, just because the bar will be lower to get involved and to start getting training, some kind of training that's led and not just go do the academy stuff, right?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be good because in general you don't know what you don't know. So even if you have the budget and you want to go talk to a partner, you don't know what to ask for. So again, I think this is going to fill a gap of knowledge of HubSpot language that we all need to share and to actually appreciate what you can do or the potential of the tool. What I don't know if William has told you about this, but I don't know if this is going to be something that is a one-time pay and is going to be available forever, or if you have a time frame that you need to use it.
It's an
Um,
annual, it's an annual
okay,
renewal,
annual.
right?
Okay, so it's going to be
And
400 annually.
yep, and
Okay,
any user, any portal right now could go buy it, so it doesn't have to be, new only. Um, and
okay.
that's right. I think, like, at the very least, this is a step in the right direction. It might not always look like this. It often, but the infrastructure they're creating, like kind of outside of the like 4 times a year boot camps, which have a very specific cadence and require resources to support, right? This infrastructure where we're setting up, because without it, it was like, oh, 90 days is over. Like, sorry. Like, or I might help you, but now we got to keep track of our hours because that's costing money. Like this space where it's, because some customers are going to get to it when they're going to get to it. And while it's not the best thing, it's that moment, that experience of like, sorry, we're outside the window. You already got the onboarding. You didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Like, so creating this infrastructure to support this ongoing, like very soft touch, like you say, but just it's more than no touch, right? So I think it's a step in the right direction. And I think we're going to keep seeing, in theory, if it does help with, people using HubSpot better and, people renewing more often because they're seeing more value, everybody's gonna benefit when that stuff starts happening.
Yeah, the thing is that, well, this is very new because this was just announced. So, a lot of concerns, a lot of questions that we can think about is, of course, we don't know who is going to be on HubSpot side. We don't know how savvy they are. We don't know if we are going to speak with the people that really know how to give you the juicy stuff about how to use the tools, so someone with a lot of experience. The first thing that came in mind is like, why would I pay for this when I can go see Kyle every week and learn a lot from it?
Yeah.
But okay, but this is just me joking. Um, but again, it depends of a lot of things. So it's still something new. I think HubSpot is always testing new things. So we will see. So hopefully, fast forward 1 year from now, we will know how this went. So right now it's something new. It's something that they are going to start trying, testing. So let's just see. Let's just see how it goes. And as partners, I think that if you see that this, or if you feel like this is kind of challenging your services, it's time to adapt. So maybe you can think about a new value proposition, a new service, a new service model that could add more value to this, not even compete, but add more value. So think about maybe all the customers that in the past you lost because they couldn't afford onboarding. So maybe this is the time for you to reapproach, to help them start doing something. There's a lot of opportunity here. So you can see
Yeah.
this as a challenge or you can see this as an opportunity. So
Yeah. And that's where there will be more opportunity beyond that. I mean, just like we've seen with the other boot camps, like partners can get involved. Like, and if this scales, right, if this works and it grows,
yeah,
like they're going to run out of inbound professors that can actually support that, right?
yeah,
So that's where there's opportunity to support this mechanism. Just understand that, like, if you're making your money because this hasn't existed, like, try to do it a different way. Just be better, like, because HubSpot users need you to be better, right? And if you're here and a part of the ecosystem, and like, I'm sure there's much more value you could be providing, right? If you know about HubSpot, just helping people understand how to use it for their business gets a lot easier when they have stuff like this available to help them just understand, oh yeah, invoices can be done in HubSpot. Like, the amount of people, even at the super admin level, just because they've been so locked into Marketing Hub or Sales Hub, like the amount of people that don't know about Commerce Hub, don't know about
yeah.
Content Hub, right? And meanwhile, they're getting exposed to it one way or another, and that's when you start to have the expectations that change. And the more we put ourselves in situations like, is it in scope or out of scope? Like, people don't like having that conversation, right? So this gives them an outlet. We're not saying you just got to give away all your time for free, but definitely don't be mad about this, right? Because this is going to help a lot of ways. And this is another place. Like, okay, you don't have the budget for a couple $100 an hour. Well, this is 400 a year, right? And it's largely not going to be competitive for most of the stuff that you want to. Like, if people weren't going to pay 400, they're not going to pay you like what you want to get paid, right? So it's a different audience. Um, as I was reading through this, it's like, the other challenge is, your sales reps will be empowered. Okay, if we can get our sales reps to show up to these boot camps, yeah, then they might be empowered. But
Yeah.
right, but it's all adds up to better adoption. Like,
But again, let's
sometimes,
just sorry, but I was seeing at the titles there. It's all essentials, so it is basic, as we were saying. So let's not get people confused about what to expect from here because it's still going to be essential and basic.
right. Yep, that's where this language that suggests, like in this picture, right? And this is where, like, if you're partners and you want to make sure this goes well, like, give feedback to HubSpot that says, when they say best suited for self-starter tech-savvy customers looking to get started quickly with HubSpot, for me, that's suggesting that you don't need the other stuff. Like, this will be enough, right, for you to get success with HubSpot. Maybe you can get started quickly, but how successful you're going to be if you're just relying on this,
Hmm.
uh, it's a bad message to send, in my opinion, speaking from a partner perspective.
Yeah.
So helping to make sure that everybody in the ecosystem is positioning this well and making sure customers understand, what they're actually getting if they sign up for any of these, right?
And do you think that people are going to confuse this and start buying this as a paid HubSpot support?
Uh, like this column 3.
No, what I'm thinking is like we all know that contacting support with HubSpot is getting challenging and challenging. So people is deviating into the community. Lucky me because I'm there replying, but I think that sometimes people get frustrated with HubSpot because they don't get in touch with support or they don't get answers. So I was thinking about, well, it just crossed my mind that Is it going to be people paying for this, but with the expectation to get HubSpot support for the day to day basics? So I don't know. Maybe that's a good question.
Right. No, I think that's another expectation to be managed, right? Like,
Mm,
what does
yeah,
guided onboarding mean? It certainly doesn't mean like 24/7 support. Uh, so
yeah.
that's where it's the sales team and, the customer success managers like trying to help. And I know customer success is usually after this, but it's going to be interesting what they see when people can buy into this after onboarding, because we see that all the time, right? Like I did the onboarding 1 or 2 years ago, nothing happened the way I needed it to. So now I'm here. Like, so as people are able to invest in this after the fact, like what are their expectations? And if a customer success manager is helping them buy it, right? It's certainly not a premium support offering like you would see in other ecosystems. Um,
But
I
I think
do
that you
think,
mentioned, sorry, I
sorry,
think
go
that you mentioned something that is super important because the origin of this, or at least who is promoting this, is customer success in HubSpot, meaning that even though we are calling it onboarding, this this comes from a mind of HubSpot users that already have HubSpot, but maybe they had either they have never done an onboarding or they have done it a long time ago. Sometimes maybe they could be frustrated right now. Maybe they could see that the original setup does no longer suit the business needs, so they need to re-onboard. So if this comes from that point, so that you can go annually there and just see, as you were mentioning, Chris, see what's new, see the updates, see the new betas, try to think if this applies to your business, try to chat with peers, with other people having the same issues like you. If we are aiming for these people that they have never worked with a partner, or it's been so long since they did their onboarding, or we're trying to avoid churn and make them fall in love again with HubSpot, I think this is awesome. Again, this won't replace working with a partner, because if they haven't done this so far, they may not be even willing to consider it. So at least HubSpot is tackling all those customers that we call them, like, I don't know, that they don't have a guidance. And there's a
right.
lot of customers that they don't have a partner; they're direct HubSpot clients. So I think this is a good
Yeah.
opportunity. So maybe onboarding is not the best wording for this
Right.
service.
That's what I was gonna say. Like in a perfect world, we could just start calling it everboarding and people would know what that means. But they're
Yeah,
like,
or HubSpot
right?
update, or I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, I think
Yeah,
everboarding like is the right. It's I think for a long time, maybe like a year, we're gonna see onboarding and everboarding like in parentheses, like right next to each other, and it's gonna be a challenge. But
yeah,
that's like the real challenge is gonna be like it's not onboarding at all. Like like at the end of the day, especially if people that already have HubSpot and have already gone through the process. So classic marketing challenge of how do we introduce this new thing in a way that people can understand it but not confuse the hell out of them while we do it. Uh, that's why we have jobs, thankfully. So we're here to help. But yeah, this ultimately, I think, fills a lot of gaps, and we should be thankful that HubSpot is stepping up to try to solve the problems that we're also complaining about in other ways, with awareness problems and onboarding problems. And, you know, uh, so it's good to see them investing in this, and we appreciate that. So, and I appreciate, your perspective on this. I think it's going to be interesting conversations for a while. A lot of different people are impacted. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I think it's a positive impact for most because we are solving this awareness gap. And I bet some partners like would even benefit from signing up for this, right? If not just for their own education, it'll be one of the best ways to see how people are using HubSpot, right? And that there's no better education sometimes than just
Yeah.
understanding how everybody's using it. So open your
And who
mind.
knows? And who knows? You might even find partners giving the boot camps.
Yep,
So you never
exactly.
know. Never know.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, thanks for so much for this conversation. We hope it was helpful for, people out there watching. Hopefully people start taking
Yeah.
advantage of this offering and we start to see, the value of it. Uh, so if you're thinking about that onboarding you had, and you wish you could have it back, or you wish you had access to any level of resources, just, you know, think about that again. Check this out, look for those opportunities, and let's grow. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye. See you next time.